It's Movie Time is brought to you by the Gateway Film Center, 1550 North High Street, Columbus, Ohio. Further details and showtimes online at gatewayfilmcenter.org.
The award-winning It's Movie Time is produced by John DeSando. Listen to the shows and read reviews online at WCBE.org.
I'm John DeSando.
And I'm Linda Baas McClelland.
And this is
It's Movie Time.
Linda, there's a film out that won the Palme d'Or, the big prize at Cannes.
Is that like our Academy Award?
It is the big one. There are several prizes there, like Audience Award and so on, but this one is big. It's called Deephan.
Deephan.
Yes, Dheepan. It's French and about Sri Lankans.
Yes.
What's Deephan mean?
I have no idea. I feel very challenged on pronouncing all the names and everything. But the important thing that people need to know is filmgoers need to gird their loins for this flick. It's rough going in light of all the recent violence that we see on television.
Or in reality.
That's what I'm talking about. In reality, the violence that's going on right now, it's tough watching. It mirrors what we see on the nightly news. Thousands of migrants fleeing their war-torn countries. What happens to them when they get where they're going? It has it all. Emotion, high drama, political events, and lots of violence.
Well, the main character, Deephan, has been a Tamil fighter in Sri Lanka. That's pretty big time, although the Tigers are losing, and it's time for him to leave. And I think he sincerely wants to disavow the violence that he has been.
Well, the movie opens with a scene of, in Sri Lanka, a soldier is piling palm branches on top of dead bodies. He sets fire to the pile, and then he throws his soldier's uniform on top.
Right.
Yeah, it's time to get out. He's had enough.
And so if you set aside the violence, there's a real drama going on here with him and the young woman that he picks up at the border, and the younger woman, the 9-year-old girl, whom they are going to use to configure a family that will get them through the customs.
Yeah, they pose as a family using passports that have been taken off of the dead bodies. Yeah. Then they travel by boat and plane to take them to France. At first, they wind up in La Prée. Is that how you pronounce it?
Okay.
And I think it's a suburban area outside of Paris.
Correct. Right.
And you think this might be a safe haven for this fake family. He works as a caretaker for the housing project there.
Yeah.
And Yalini, I think that's her name, takes care of an elderly, catatonic man. And the little girl tries to adjust to going to school.
And I think that man living in that concrete jungle is probably the drug lord.
Well, the drug lord happens to be the catatonic's nephew.
Well, I think he is an operative and a major lieutenant, but I think the old guy is the drug lord. But regardless, and they're taking care of him, he's infirm. Regardless, it's as if our hero is drawn back into the world of violence, even though he wants to stay away from it.
Right.
And at the same time, he wants to connect with Yeleni.
Right. And you see some of these emotional bonds trying to be formed in the beginning of this film, or the first half of the film. But they've escaped one living hell, and they're right in the midst of another one. The housing project is full of dope dealers, and at night the dealers congregate outside Deephan's windows, and their gunplay and assaults remind him of what he left behind in Sri Lanka.
Yeah.
And Yalini just wants to leave and go to her cousin who lives in England. And then all hell breaks loose. Can I say that?
Sure. Well, yeah. I mean, we can, if you want, we can kind of leave it for our audience to see what that means.
Right.
But I think I think it's important to the film to know that even though they have emigrated from Sri Lanka, and seemingly have left all of that behind, that in the case of immigration, as only people like Donald Trump and others can really know, there's a difficulty. There are challenges, and trying to leave it behind. One of the parts of is difficult. One of the parts of the film that Linda, that I really am uncomfortable with is how the colonel or whoever is from Sri Lanka comes back and asks him to join again in some fight there. It's as if the playwright, as if the director
Right.
and writer easily was pulling that back into the story when I think it could have been. Anyway, he is drawn back into it, and
Right.
and they, as a family, they are once again faced with survival. And I like, and you suggested it, I like the interaction between Deephan and Yalini, and I think that there's, as you had said, there's a kind of lingering love growing between them. But this is really a family of convenience,
Right.
and they're all seem to get more comfortable with their new life, which is kind of seduces you into thinking their life is going to be happy.
Right.
Until, as you said, they have this.
But the film has, for me, a very strange ending. Its tone is totally inconsistent with the rest of the film. And is it real, or is it fantasy, or is the director just having fun with us? It just didn't gel for me, and I won't say what it
Well, the
was.
director has it seems to be seen Taxi Driver, and I'm not the first one to mention the similarity to the ending, which is a bloodbath at the end of Taxi Driver. And your question, I think, is really appropriate on this. You know, why it seems so out of tune, even
Did you
though.
notice it? I mean, it just
Oh,
felt
well,
like
sure.
it was so
Yeah, it
out
was.
of step with
Yeah, he
everything else.
becomes an effective vigilante, and not unlike the Robert De Niro character in Taxi Driver. And there's a way of cleaning up everything in the film by having this action at the end. But it's another cheap device, I think, for, kind of clearing the slate.
Right.
And so I'm just as uncomfortable as you. I think it's abrupt. I think it's not in character with the hero that we have seen up to this point, who
Right.
wants to divest himself
Right.
of that. But if you're going to have a happy ending, and it depends on what you consider a happy ending, then this film gives you it.
But it just doesn't fit in at all. But okay.
Yeah.
The film does give us an idea of these people that we see on the news every night trying to flee their countries, what it's like for them. How do they survive their new lives where they don't know the language, and on many scores they're just ignored?
Yeah, that's an important point too.
And how do they preserve their dignity while they're fighting just to stay alive?
One of the interesting parts of this film is their struggle with language.
Yes.
But again, the director has two levels. He has the level of survival, and then he has the interactive level, which is the opposite of survival. They are actually developing and building. And I love the one where she says that he has no sense of humor.
Yes.
I mean, they're talking language, and she tells him, "No, you just don't have a sense of humor." So that again is language based in the sense for the two of them,
Right.
who share their language. But yet, as they attempt to navigate this difficult world, language is an important barrier to them, to their happiness.
Right. I think the acting is excellent. And it's hard to believe that these are the first film roles for both of the lead actors.
Well, our lead actor actually was a Tamil fighter.
That's right, that's right. And his face is so expressionless at times, but all this emotion comes out of those dark, dark eyes.
Yeah.
It's
a
all
great
in his
face.
eyes.
Great
He has
face.
a great face. Yes, in real life, he was in the army.
Yeah, and he was, and he had gone through some of the things that happened here. So
Right.
There's an authenticity about his performance. Yet I think he's a natural for film.
Right.
I mean, he just has a face that the camera
Oh,
loves,
yeah.
and he has such a deep feeling coming through.
Right.
That he's perfect, and she as well.
Yeah, she's very good,
Yeah.
very good. She has one scene where she's talking to the drug lord, and neither one of them understand a thing that the other one is saying, but yet all this emotion is being conveyed back and forth.
Right,
It's a
right.
very interesting scene.
Yeah, and I think that subplot with the young man who is tending to the older drug lord, the lieutenant, the connection that she is making with him, while not fully fleshed out, is an interesting counterpoint to the difficulties she's having with Deephan.
Right.
You know, so there's a complexity that's very satisfying in this film and very real.
In real life, the actor who plays Deephan, I think he is a writer and a musician.
He turns out to be novelist
Right.
and short story writer.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, pretty talented guy.
Yeah, he's very creative.
And anyway, we've avoided saying his name because we didn't want we did we certainly.
And Tony Thasson, or there was his first name.
Yes, Jesus Thasson, and
Jesus Thasson.
yes. But anyway, he plays Deephan. That's the name of the film, Deepan.
Mm-hmm.
It won the Palme d'Or. Linda Baas McClelland, what grade are you going to award this film?
Right now, peace is a very precious commodity, and I don't need to go to a movie to watch more violence, but because it is so well made and well acted, I have to give it a B.
Oh, good. And I'm going to award it an A-. It's just, for me, deeply moving and another step in my trying to understand the dislocation of